His life was normal, boring, nothing special. But one cold night, he helped a stranger. He didn't know that stranger would change his destiny forever. It was a freezing night at a lonely bus stop. The wind was so cold, it felt like needles on the skin. Mason stood there, tired from work. A simple farmer. No big dreams, no big plans. Just a quiet life and a small farm. Then his eyes fell on her. A woman was standing alone. No gloves, no hat. Her hands were shaking. She wasn't talking. She wasn't even looking up. She just looked broken. Most people would ignore her. Most people would pretend they didn't see. But Mason wasn't like most people. He took off his own jacket, his only warm layer, walked to her and said, "Here, please wear this." The woman looked shocked. Not many people show kindness anymore. Her voice was small, almost lost in the cold air. "Thank you," she whispered. Mason didn't ask her name. He didn't ask for anything back. He just smiled and walked away. A few minutes later, the bus came. She got on. The bus left. And just like that, she was gone. Mason thought the story ended there. He didn't know. That jacket was the beginning of the biggest surprise of his life. The next morning, Mason's normal, quiet life suddenly stopped. Mason was feeding his chickens when he heard a sound. Not a tractor. Not a bike. A long, black luxury car rolled into his small, dusty farm. The type of car you only see in movies. The door opened, and a man in a suit stepped out. Clean shoes. Expensive watch. He looked like he'd never touched mud in his life. He walked straight to Mason, handed him an envelope, and said, "Miss Langford would like to see you." No hello. No explanation. Just those words. Mason stared at the envelope. Miss Langford? Who was that? He opened it. Inside was a city address and a time. No message. No reason. Mason could have ignored it. But something inside him said, "Go." A few hours later, he reached the city. Tall buildings, loud traffic, people walking fast. Nothing like his quiet farm. He finally found the address. A huge glass tower with guards in black suits. Mason felt small, but he walked in anyway. Top floor. Big office. Fancy furniture. Everything shiny and perfect. Mason stepped inside and froze. Sitting behind the big desk was the same woman from the bus stop. The one who wore his jacket. But she wasn't cold now. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't scared. She looked powerful, confident, in control. Mason realized something. She wasn't just a random woman. She was someone important. Very important. She wasn't poor. And she wasn't lost. She was something no one expected. Mason stood in front of her, confused. Last night, she looked cold, scared, and helpless. Today, she looked like the boss of the world. She leaned forward and said, "My name is Avery Langford. This entire company is mine." Mason's eyes widened. A billionaire? A CEO? That didn't match the woman he met at the bus stop. Avery noticed his shock. "Last night, I left a board meeting in tears," she said. "People were shouting. Everyone wanted something from me. I reached a point where I wanted to quit everything." She took a small pause. "But then you came. You didn't know me. You didn't ask for my name. You didn't try to impress me. You just saw a freezing woman and helped." Her voice softened. "That jacket, it wasn't just warm. It reminded me that good people still exist." Mason scratched his head, awkward and unsure. Avery opened a file. "I checked who you are. You live alone. You fix people's fences, tractors, roofs, and you never take money." She looked directly at him. "You help everyone. But no one notices you." For a second, the office became quiet. Then she said, "You are the kind of man this world forgets. But it shouldn't." Mason took a deep breath. "So, this meeting, just to say thank you?" Avery smiled. "No, Mason. This is not a thank you." She stood up from her chair. "This is only the beginning. Mason felt a chill. He had no idea what that beginning meant, but it was going to change his life. That night, something happened at Mason's farm that no one would ever believe. After coming home, Mason tried to sleep, but Avery's words kept replaying in his head. This is just the beginning. Beginning of what? Why him? Nothing made sense. Around midnight, a strange sound broke the silence. Boom, boom, boom. It wasn't wind. It wasn't animals. It felt like the ground was shaking. Mason got out of bed, grabbed a flashlight, and walked outside. The moment he stepped toward his barn, his whole body turned cold. His farm was glowing. Bright orange light everywhere. But it wasn't fire. It was torches. Hundreds of burning torches spread across his land. And behind those torches stood men. Not normal men. Warriors. Metal armor. Helmets. Shields. Swords. Not 10. Not 100. 2,000 warriors, all standing in silence. Mason's heart dropped. His hands started shaking. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. Then one warrior stepped out from the front line. He removed his helmet. His face was fierce, like someone who had trained for war his whole life. And then something even crazier happened. He knelt in front of Mason. All the other warriors lowered their heads. The leader looked up and said, in a deep, powerful voice, "We found him." Mason's mind exploded with confusion. Found who? Found what? The warrior pointed straight at Mason. They hadn't come to attack the farm. They had come for him. Mason tried to joke about it. You guys definitely got the wrong man. But no one was laughing. Mason held his hands up, like he was surrendering. Look, I'm nobody. I fix fences, feed animals, and sleep early. I am just a farmer. The warrior stepped closer, his armor shining in the firelight, his voice deep and serious. No, Mason. You are the protector we've been waiting for. Mason's face went blank. Protector? Of what? The warrior pulled out something wrapped in cloth. He opened it carefully, like it was treasure. Inside was an old letter. Burned edges. Wax seal. A royal symbol stamped on the front. He handed it to Mason with both hands, bowing his head. Mason was shaking now. What is this? Before he got an answer, he heard footsteps. Avery appeared from the shadows. Not like a businesswoman this time. Not like someone he saved. She looked like someone who belonged with this army. Avery, Mason whispered. You knew about all this? She nodded slowly. That letter belongs to your family. Mason almost laughed. My family? We're just farmers. Avery stepped closer. Her voice calm, but powerful. No, Mason. Your family started as warriors. Generations ago, the last king chose a shield. A protector stronger than any soldier. She pointed to the warriors behind her. When the kingdom was destroyed, the protectors vanished. But the bloodline continued. Hidden. Waiting. Mason felt dizzy. Are you saying they waited for me? Avery's eyes didn't blink. Yes. 4 years. 4 decades. 4 generations. Mason's voice got small. But why me? I don't even know how to fight. Avery smiled just a little. You don't have to know. It's in your blood. Mason swallowed hard. So, the night at the bus stop, that was just luck. Avery shook her head. No, Mason. Her voice went cold and serious. You think you helped me first. But the truth is, she leaned in. I was searching for you. Mason's entire world flipped. The jacket, the bus stop, the meeting. None of it was an accident. Mason asked, and if I refuse? Avery didn't blink. Mason, the kingdom is in danger. If you refuse, innocent people will die. Mason shook his head. I'm not a hero. I'm just a farmer. I want a simple life. Avery stepped closer. I know. But the prophecy works only when the real heir says yes. Only you can lead them. Mason looked at the warriors. 2,000 soldiers, kneeling for him. He never wanted power. He never wanted a throne. But now, people's lives depended on his answer. He took a deep breath. Why me? Avery whispered. Because your blood was born to protect. Mason's whole world was changing. But what Mason didn't know was this. Someone else had discovered who he really was. Someone dangerous. Someone who wanted Mason dead. The first sign was an arrow flying past Mason's ear. Swoosh. Mason jumped back in shock. Before he could understand anything, swoosh, 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 arrows rained from the darkness. Enemy soldiers had reached the farm. The warriors surrounding Mason moved fast. Shields up. Swords out. They protected him like he was the most important man alive. Fire lit the night. Metal hit metal. Screams. Dust. Chaos everywhere. Mason couldn't move. He had never even been in a fist fight. And now there was a war happening in his backyard. A soldier attacked Avery. A sword came inches away from her neck. Mason didn't think. He grabbed the closest weapon lying on the ground. For the first time in his life, he held a sword. And the second his hands touched it, something happened. His whole body changed. His breathing slowed. His fear disappeared. He moved like he had been training for years. His hand tightened on the sword. Something inside him had awakened. And the enemy realized. They were fighting the real protector. Some people are born protectors. But some only discover it the moment the world needs them. Mason lifted the sword, thinking he would fail. But he didn't. He moved fast. Too fast for a simple farmer. He blocked every hit. Dodged every attack. Hit back with perfect aim, like he had trained his whole life. He didn't know how he was doing it. His body just knew. One of the old warriors stared at him with wide eyes and whispered, "The bloodline has awakened." The enemy heard it. They saw the change in Mason. And suddenly, they were the ones scared. They stepped back, dropped their weapons, ran into the dark. The same men who came to kill him were now running to save themselves. When the field became quiet again, Mason was shaking. This can't be real," he whispered. Avery walked up to him. "This was only the first attack," she said. "They will come again. Stronger than before." Mason looked at his sword, still shocked. "So, what do we do now?" Avery's answer was simple. And heavy. She looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Now, you lead." Mason's old life ended that night. And a new one had just begun. Mason was no longer just a farmer. He looked at his farm one last time. The small house. The old barn. The quiet fields. This was the life he always wanted. Simple, peaceful, silent. But fate had chosen something bigger. He finally understood the truth. One small kind action can change an entire destiny. 2,000 warriors stood in front of him, waiting. Not moving. Not talking. Just waiting for his decision. Avery stood beside him. Not as a stranger he helped, but as someone who believed in him. Mason took a deep breath. He could stay a farmer, or he could protect a kingdom. He tightened his grip on the sword. "I'm not running," he said. The warriors rose to their feet, armors shining, ready to follow him anywhere. Mason stepped forward, not as a farmer, not as a nobody, but as the protector the world had been waiting for. The man who once gave his jacket to a stranger was now the guardian of a kingdom. And this wasn't the end. His real story was just beginning.